The broadcast is now starting. All attendees.
So let's get started with the best of the betas and clinical salicylic treatments. This is one of my really favorite topics to discuss, especially now that school has started. You're getting into the swing of things. Fall leaves are right around the corner, and I am so excited because fall is one of my most favorite seasons. But with that, a lot of the times our skin changes too. And so we can see most of the time we have these breakouts, or we have our clients that are struggling with more stressed skin, which once again can initiate a breakout. So when we look at that, one of the primary ingredients that is going to help us is going to be salicylic acid. Salicylic acid is a beta-hydroxy acid. All beta-hydroxy acids are lipophilic. Lipophilic meaning that they absolutely love that oil, so they are attracted to oil. The benefit to us is the fact that then salicylic acid works beautifully to help dissolve oil. So when you have those clients that have an extremely oily surface on their stratum corneum, this is where that salicylic acid works absolutely amazing as an astringent as well as an antiseptic. So you can utilize it in your back bar, especially with your extraction process. Salicylic acid is also an analgesic, so it's an aspirin derivative. This means that it works very nicely naturally as an anti-inflammatory. So once again, where you have inflamed skin, redness, salicylic acid can help with that. Salicylic acid is also proven to be antibacterial. Once again, it can help benefit our acne clients that are struggling with inflammatory acne. And finally, salicylic acid is keratolytic. When we look at that word keratolytic, this is where it helps to initiate that peeling of the skin and help to dissolve those dead skin cells. So when we look at salicylic acid, one of the primary actions that we want it to do is to dissolve the dead, those unwanted dead skin cells. Keratolytic is the softening and shedding of the outer layers of skin. The beauty of this is the fact that acne is not the only skin condition that is going to benefit from a keratolytic agent. A lot of us, almost every single one of us, has that dead skin buildup, those keratinocytes that just keep hanging on, don't want to go away. And so with that, they like to build up in our stratum corneum. When we use a keratolytic agent, such as salicylic acid, this is where it can benefit our acne clients, but also help with our aging clients that are established with those fine lines and wrinkles, as well as pigmented clients. So when we have that pigmentation, it's come to the surface. Those keratolytic agents also have the ability to remove that unwanted pigmented skin. So we take this keratolytic agent as salicylic acid, and we want to make sure here at Lira Clinical that we are doing some beta smart peeling. We absolutely love our beta peels here at Lira Clinical. There are 3 primary actions that our Beta Smart peeling does. It's going to help us correct, which will enable us access to those lower skin layers. We also want to clarify, once again, not totally and completely directed just towards acne, but aging and pigmentation as well. So we want to make sure when we clarify the skin that we're brightening, tightening, and refining. And finally, we want to calm skin. We know that no one wants that topical irritation, that redness, that continual state of irritation on their skin. And so this is where Lira Clinical has taken our salicylic acid solutions and made them extremely manageable. And so you have the power, you have the creative freedom as that skincare professional to manage that application and make sure that you achieve the results and the success that you want with your client. So let's look at each one of these specific actions that our Beta Smart peeling does. The first one that we are going to look at is going to be to correct. So when we think of correcting the skin, We want flawless skin. We want bright, beautiful skin. And the way that we are going to do that is going to initiate that that superficial peeling. And this is where it can really help with our aging clientele. We'll get that dead skin buildup, that lackluster skin, almost they have that dull overcast to the skin. This is where that salicylic acid really starts to initiate, and our peeling solutions here at Lira Clinical are going to initiate that skin sloughing. So we have the ability to remove those outer layers of skin, and this is going to help with refining those fine lines and wrinkles. So if you think of a wrinkle like a ditch, it's sometimes easier when we are working with our skin to remove the sides of the ditch, such as those dead skin cells, instead of trying to fill in that wrinkle. So with that, this is where that we initiate that superficial peeling and we refine those fine lines and wrinkles. We also remove that surface pigmentation. So once that pigmentation and those pigmented keratinocytes have come to the absolute surface, this is where we can completely exfoliate them off. And finally, when we do exfoliate, this is where we're going to have that beautiful, smooth skin texture that, regardless of the skin condition, our clients absolutely love. The second thing we are looking at and targeting is clarifying the skin. No one likes to see those ugly breakouts. And with that, that's where we really need to address clarifying, where we want to remove the surface oil on the top of the stratum corneum. So I'm sure you've experienced that client that really has that noonday shine, where they're not necessarily experiencing a lot of breakouts, but they have very oily skin, and that oil comes to the surface. This is where salicylic peels and our Sal Pulp and our Beta Plus work absolutely beautifully to help remove that excess surface oil, to help that client maintain a balance. It's also going to help eliminate any excess sebum within the follicle. This is many times what's initiating that acneic environment that our clients are going to experience a breakout, where within the actual follicular wall, you have 7 to 10 layers of dead skin. This is where those dead skin cells, that excess sebum, creates a beautiful environment for those P. acnes to thrive. And so this is where, if we remove that surface oil, we remove that excess sebum from our follicles, that is going to help us attack those P. acnes, helping to reduce those breakouts. Where salicylic acid is also antibacterial, it's a wonderful boost to just get rid of those P. acnes. And finally, when we have cleaned out follicles, this is where we help to minimize our pore appearance. One of Lyra Clinical's exclusive ingredient technology, Mastech from Mystica, works beautifully to help minimize that pore appearance, to help refine that pore appearance, so that skin looks smoother and also more clarified. And we also want to look at, as our third point, to calm the skin. Nobody wants to have that red, irritated face. And this is where a combination of salicylic acid with plant stem cells, a healing peptide delivery system, as well as topical probiotics and antioxidants, help to limit the inflammation on the skin, therefore reducing that topical redness. If we limit our inflammation, this is also going to help with pigmentation. We know that inflammation is the root cause and the initiatory for that pigmentation process. So if we limit the inflammation, then we have less of a chance of pigmenting the skin. When we have a combination of ingredients such as that, this is where it enables you as the skincare professional to have that creative freedom in your clinic room. This is where you can enable those more progressive treatments. You can allow those active agents on the skin, but combining them with the very unique healing peptide delivery system within many of Lira Clinical's products, this is where it allows you to have that progressive treatment. Your client doesn't have as red, irritated skin, but you're also achieving those results. So the way that we do that is taking those proven active agents, such as salicylic acid, and combining them with those wonderful anti-inflammatories, calming and brightening botanicals and plant stem cells that are going to immediately initiate that skin healing process. This is going to come from both your clinical peeling solutions in your back bar, as well as your home care products that you are recommending to your client using on a daily basis. So the two primary peeling solutions when we are looking at beta peels or beta-hydroxys and salicylic acids, the first one is going to be our Sal Pulp definer. And our Sal Pulp definer is definitely our more popular solution when it does come to salicylic acid. It is a 20% salicylic acid, but has that very unique retinol spice that many of you have probably experienced with our Pumpkin Plus as well. It also has a pulp delivery system. So utilizing your lime pulp, your blackberry pulp, these two things are combined together. So you have a little bit more body to the actual solution. This gives you a lot more control and manageability. So if you are using this on a client that you might need more than one layer, for example, maybe they have a breakout in a very specific area, this is where that Sal Pulp works very nicely to be very manageable. And once again, because you can manipulate that solution into the skin in only one area. With the Edelweiss plant stem cells, this is where our Sal Pulp definer has that wonderful peel and heal approach where you are initiating that desquamation, but we are also using those active agents for those plant stem cells to repair the skin. The potent antioxidants with passion fruit, blackberry, all of those things really help to calm the skin. So excuse me, so your skin is not going to maintain redness, maintain irritation throughout the day. Really focusing on correcting and calming the skin. So when you look at using Sal Pulp Definer, some of the things that you want to consider, yes, this is definitely my go-to solution. When you're looking at Sal Pulp, this solution is preferred for your higher Fitzpatrick skin types. Of course, you are still using a salicylic acid peel. So in that sense, ideally your clients of a Fitzpatrick 4 and above should be using their Pro Light Serum a minimum of 2 weeks prior to initiating a straight Sal Pulp solution treatment. Sal Pulp is very, like I indicated, is very manageable. It has more body to it. So you can apply it with an aesthetics wipe, gauze. You can even manipulate some of those specific active areas with gloved fingers. This you have the ability to do with the Sal Pulp that many other of your Sal solutions you don't have. And it is because of that very unique pulp delivery system. Sal Pulp also works very nicely for quadrant peeling. So for those of you that have attended the Flawless class and quadrant peeling is gone over, this is where Sal Pulp works very nicely, once again, in that pulp delivery system that you can use it on specific areas of the face along with other peeling solutions. And Sal Pulp is a beta, so therefore it is self-neutralizing. You will find that your client will reach their activity peaks on their skin anywhere about 3 to 6 minutes, and then that activity level will start to go down. So the nice thing is we do want to remember that you do not actually have to remove the solution from the skin because it is self-neutralizing. We want to make sure that you are removing the heat out of the skin, and this is where applying a cold barber towel and using it as a cold compress or your cold globes, those work beautifully to help calm the skin down and remove that heat out of the skin. Our next Lira Clinical solution that we have is our Beta Plus Rebuilder. Now, our Beta Plus Rebuilder is also a 20% salicylic acid, but it is in an ethanol solution. It is a free acid. So this is when once you apply that solution, it goes down into the skin. It's combined with beautiful brightening hexylresorcinol. So we absolutely love our hexylresorcinol because it not only brightens the skin, but it also helps to tighten the skin. So this is where our Beta Plus works very, very nicely if you do have those aging clients, those pigmented clients that have that surface that you just really need to soften it up and get access to those lower layers. This is where that Beta Plus works beautiful. We've once again combined our brighteners with very potent anti-inflammatory benefits with bearberry and mulberry. So if you look at every single one of the ingredients that you find within our Beta Plus, with the salicylic acid, hexylresorcinol, licorice, bearberry, and mulberry, all of these ingredients have wonderful brightening properties. So once again, if you have that surface pigment, this works beautifully to help brighten the skin and slough off that unwanted darkened keratinocytes. So when do we use our Beta Plus? Beta Plus is best for gaining that access to your lower skin layers. Almost always your clients will experience some form of sloughing or peeling when you've applied that Beta Plus. It works very nicely as a prepping solution for a dual modality treatment. So applying that Beta Plus, leaving it on for about 30 seconds, then once again removing the heat out of the skin to stop that from stop the salve from penetrating deeper into the skin when we take the heat out of the skin. We also want to make sure that when we're using our Beta Plus solution is going to be more for someone that is very experienced with your beta peels overall. Feel really comfortable with your sal pulp definer and then take that next step to your Beta Plus. This is where Beta Plus is usually preferred for your more experienced skincare professionals. And once again, it is self-neutralizing. One of the things that we do want to remember, you can use your Beta Plus on your darker Fitzpatrick's, but my recommendation is that you try a sal pulp on your darker fits first, kind of as that trial, see how the client responds to the solution, and then take that next step to the Beta Plus. Just because your Beta Plus is not in a pulp delivery system, so it is going to be hotter on the skin. And those darker fits clients must be home care compliant. They should be using the Pro Light, and ideally they should be using the Pro C4 retinol serum or the retinol cream in conjunction with the Pro Light as part of their home care. It's also imperative that you make sure that you are checking your application under a Woods lamp. Where it is a free acid, you want to make sure that you have gotten every area of the skin and your application is even. And this is oh so very helpful when you put that Woods lamp on the skin and that those salicylic crystals just pop out at you so you can see it. One of the things that also is accompanied with our salicylic treatments is we do not want to fear the frost. How many times, for those of you that perhaps are in our Lira Clinical Pros group, that someone posts and says, oh my gosh, look what happened. This is good because when you see that frosting on the skin, like you can see here along this client's jawline, you have achieved the endpoint of your treatment. This is where, once again, checking your application under a Woods lamp is very imperative for the fact that you will see where you've applied the actual solution. If you have those target areas that you need to reapply a second layer, you have the ability to do so a lot more precise than just with the naked eye. When you see that frost happen, Make sure that you are releasing the heat out of the skin with a cold compress. The easiest way to do that is with a cold barber towel. I do know some estheticians that really absolutely love their cold globes. And so with that, you can also use those. They work very, very well. The other item that you want to remember when you do see that frosting on top of the skin is make sure that you're letting your client know that they will probably experience some skin sloughing or flaking or possibly even some peeling that's going to happen. This is where that salicylic acid has been applied to the skin. There's been that oil on top that it just wants to eat up because that salicylic acid absolutely loves that oil. And so that is where you see that frosting on the skin where those salicylic crystals have come to the surface, and that's where you can see, and it will initiate that sloughing. Please keep in mind that it is important that you're making sure that you release the heat out of the skin, that you're not wiping the skin away, but very gently pressing to make sure that that heat is released into that cold compress instead of being retained within the skin. So when we are doing salicylic treatments within our clinic room, what do we recommend to our clients that works oh so fabulous at home? And this is where your Beta Home Care Therapy can be Lira Clinical's newly released Pro Anti-Aging Pads. It is one of a kind on the market currently with a polyhydroxy acid blend. So not only is there salicylic acid in the Pro Anti-Aging Pads, you also have glycolic, lactic, and mandelic as well. Of course, Lyra Clinical has to have our wonderful and beautiful balanced combinations. So we have topical probiotics to help with that microbiome and making sure that everything is balanced with a healing peptide delivery system. That progressive polyhydroxy acid blend is not going to feel overly active on the skin and also has the ability to allow those active agents to be penetrated into the skin without over irritation or redness. Just because it says Pro Anti-Aging Pads does not mean that these pads work beautifully for your acne clients as well as your pigmented clients. How do you use your Pro Anti-Aging Pads? They are an addition to your daily home care because it is a home care therapy like a mini treatment that your clients can use on the skin anywhere from once a week to up to 3 times a week. Now, this mini treatment is designed to be finished off with a hydrator. So as we are talking about our salicylic, our ice balancing lotion is a wonderful hydrator that has a beautiful matte finish that helps to once again control that oily surface of the skin with your environmentally stressed and acneic skin as well. So we do have a question. So with that, when pressing the skin and releasing the heat, when there is frost on the skin, sometimes it does start to flake. If with that, you just want to remember that you're not going to want to rub the skin, but you want to allow it to naturally slough off itself. Allow the skin to naturally do that. If some of that frosting that it looks like is being removed when you're pressing it into the skin, keep in mind that you're removing some of the crystallization of the actual sal. So you are removing some of that solution, and that's okay. We just don't want to over irritate the skin with that actual towel or those cool globes or your compresses. You just want to make sure that you're releasing heat. That is the primary objective. All right. So Just as a review, we're looking at our beta benefits for all. We know that in our clinic rooms, the 3 primary actions that we want to take is to correct, lighten, and hydrate. So for those of you that are performing our 3D Smart Peel series, you know that our correct step is going to be the Sal Pulp treatment, helping to clarify and reduce that lesion count, whether those lesions are going to be actual acneic lesions or possibly your fine lines and wrinkles, or you're looking at specific pigmented areas on the skin. Lighten with removing that superficial pigmented skin. We are targeting both acne and now our pigmentation. And finally, hydrate. When you think of salicylic acid, you don't necessarily think about hydrating the skin. Hey, we're removing that surface oil. Why is this going to help hydrate the skin? The beauty of that is it actually enables better product penetration for your moisture retention. So where we want to make sure that we are balancing out both lipid as well as water soluble products, so our skin does have the ability to maintain that natural hydration in the skin. This will help balance out our sebaceous activity and therefore help hydrate and have healthier skin. As a reminder, if you do want further information, more advanced education in regards to our peeling solutions, we do have so many educational classes coming up this fall season where everyone absolutely says, hey, it's fall, it's time to peel. And with that, we have our advanced continuing education class, The Science of Flawless Skin. This is where 2 of our board of directors, Ms. Metaxia Delikas and Francine Kagarakis, come and teach this wonderful class. You can see on the left-hand side that everyone receives their very own mini peel kit with a full day of continuing education. You can see all of the upcoming cities and dates that are coming to you. We also have many Smart Peel classes within your area. With that, you can contact your Lira sales manager or get on our Lira Clinical Pro website, go to the class calendar, and find the closest city near you that you can take these wonderful Smart Peel classes. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. If anyone has any further questions in regards to our salicylic treatments, I have placed 3 of some of our more popular treatments in the handout section of the webinar, where you can find our Sal Pulp Definer, our Beta Plus, and also our Clear Ice treatment that is found in our new Illuminate treatment guide that was just recently released a couple of weeks ago. So you have a hybrid treatment, and then you have 2 of your Smart Peel treatments. All right, let's look here at a couple of our questions. So, whoops. Give me 1 second. So when we're dealing with back acne, good question, especially where a lot of the times they'll struggle with on the tops of their shoulders. I prefer, depending, but most of the time I actually prefer the Sal Pulp because you have the ability to actually massage it in and work it into the skin. We also want to remember that if you are doing a Sal treatment, you don't want to do more than just the back. If you're doing the back, the client needs to come back in 24 to 48 hours to have it on the face. We usually prefer just that Sal on the back only. But with that, where once again, where you have that manageability and you have those certain lesions, that's where I really like to use just manually manipulate it in with my gloved hands, my gloved fingers, and manually manipulate that Sal Pulp into those specific lesion areas on the back, and it works absolutely beautifully. Also look at the clarifying back treatment in the spa manual. That is a wonderful back treatment for clients that do struggle with back acne as well. When we are using the pads, some of the things you want to remember is you usually wait as soon as the actual skin is done sloughing is when they can go back to be using the Pro anti-aging pads up to 1, 2, 3 times weekly. Most of the time that is going to be a minimum of 3 days after you actually perform a Sal or a Beta Plus treatment within the clinic. So you want to wait that 72 hours. Okay. Oh, and wonderful suggestion. One of our clients, she actually uses the Beta Plus first for back acne, and then she works in the Sal Pulp. So dependent upon that's another way that you could try that back acne. Like I said, I usually prefer, if it is a first time client, I like to see how they respond to the Sal Pulp. And if they respond really nicely, then I can graduate up to the Beta Plus. That's just my way that I like to make sure, because I have had some of those clients that, because it is salicylic acid, if they've never experienced it before, they'll go home, go about their daily business, and sometimes they'll call back later on the evening or the following morning and say, oh my gosh, my face got so hot. All of a sudden I got this heat rush. Why did this happen? And that's just something that normally happens with salicylic acid. And so with those types of things, that's my personal preference, to start with Sal Pulp and then graduate to Beta Plus. Okay. Doesn't look like we have any more questions. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. We do have on the 30th, keep in mind, a Green Power Hour with one of our educational team members, Linda Amato. And we will also be releasing another educational video the end of this month as well. So make sure that you stay tuned on Lira Clinical Pro website, as well as on the Lira Clinical Facebook Pro page for further updates, as well as with your sales territory manager. I hope everyone has a wonderful Monday, and take care. Thank you.